Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we take on race 2 of the round of 16 here in the playoffs at Talladega, as Kyle Larson won the opening round in Chicagoland to lock himself into the round of 12. Joey Logano, William Byron, Ryan Preece, and Chris Buescher all come in below the cut line, as everybody though has some serious work to do. The grid is super tight. Carson Hocevar finds himself now the last driver in, and we know that Talladega, of course, is going to be the race here in this opening round that really shakes things up. And yeah, I mean, there's not even really a big point in looking at the standings yet until we kind of get done here today in Talladega. As we come through into qualifying, we know the drill. Of course, our last time racing at Talladega in this career mode, and we qualify none other than the last position. Who could have possibly seen that one coming? As you see the rest of your qualifying order here on your screen as well. Rounding out the top 20 was Ryan Preece. Rounding out the top 10, Tyler Reddick. But of course, the front row lockout, it's going to be Chandler Smith for Trackhouse and Ryan Blaney over Austin Hill, Ross Chastain, and Bubba Wallace. Now as well, Amazon Prime Series action going this weekend, as it was Brandon Jones who would pick up the win as well. Rounding out the top 20 there was our driver of Trayton Lapsevich, as you see the rest of your finishing order on your screen. And that allows us to focus in on Sunday afternoon, Talladega Superspeedway now, looking for a really just subpar run. We come in 42 points above the cut line, which is also where we started. So we didn't gain or lose anything in Chicagoland. It was a pretty mediocre day. It finished, P12? So it just, yeah, it could have went better, it could have went worse. But overall, we come in at a comfortable gap above the cut line, because when you're going into a track like Talladega, you want a good 40-point buffer. And that's what all the playoff points that we accumulated through the regular season, plus winning the regular season championship, allows us to do, is take a mediocre day and still put us in a comfortable spot going into a wild card race, as we are ready to kick things off. The round of 16, race 2, could be the biggest wild card of the entire playoffs. We're underway from Talladega Superspeedway. It's Chandler Smith and Ryan Blaney leading the field down into turn number 1 now, as we're lined up behind the 51 of Justin Haley. Back here, you got some playoff guys like the 48 of Rajah Caruth, of course, who has that one win on the season. Had a tire failure actually in Chicago, but had such a fast car, still rebounded to get stage points in the same stage that he lost the tire. And he as well got a pretty respectable result inside the top 10. But as you guys know, if you run bad here today in Talladega, especially if you're like third in points on back, you're going to be having to go into the round of 16 elimination race at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, looking for a top 5 day probably. I mean, other drivers in the danger zone include, of course, William Byron, who's currently below the cut line. Chase Elliott, he is not very comfortable. He is a driver that we have seen win at super speedways. He won the Daytona regular season finale last season, but he doesn't necessarily replicate that same success in running at Talladega. So I think Chase Elliott is going to be someone we have to pay attention to. The 48 as well. I'm just thinking we really do see these Hendrick cars not really show up at the super speedways more often than not. So that's the team that I'm worried about, outside of the 5, of course, of Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson absolutely on fire to kick off the playoffs and really in the last half of the regular season. So Kyle Larson saying, hey, my fire is not dying out yet, as Chris Buescher has actually dropped all the way to the back. Buescher was having a great top 10-ish run in Chicago until he faced an engine failure late in the race, taking him out, and that puts him over 20 points below the cut line coming into this race. A really unfortunate just scenario for the 17 team, because they were having a great race and they gave up more than 20 points. So with that failure, so really unfortunate there, because they would have been coming into Talladega in a way different position. As we've got 20 laps of racing here in stage number 1, we've got time to kind of relax and not push the issue given our point situation, as we look at Gibbs and Elliott back here as well. Ty Gibbs has really stepped up in the last half of the regular season and started the playoffs well as well. A top 5 result to kick off the first race from Chicago, as he was runner-up to Kyle Larson, and of course won the Brickyard 400 a few races back. As we continue on looking for our 6th win of the season, we've won Talladega multiple times. I don't see any reason why we can't do it again here today now, as we've always just found a way to methodically get ourselves in into the top 10. It's way easier to get through the pack at Talladega than it is at Daytona, because, you know, usually in Daytona, we spend more than a first stage getting towards the top 10, where in stage 1 at Talladega, we can very easily get into the top 10 just by putting ourselves in the right position. We see a lot more 4-wide racing here at Talladega as well. I mean, we see it just about right now. If I want to force it up the inside of the 00, we should be able to go 4-wide as we roll through 1, and currently leading is the number 45 of Ross Chastain. Tyler Reddick right up there in the number 1 Monster Energy Beast Honda Civic there for Trackhouse Racing, the lone Trackhouse driver in the playoffs, and also the only Trackhouse driver in the top 30 in the standings to begin with. And Reddick is one of the handful of drivers that made it into the playoffs without winning a race. Of course, we know as well the 24 of Byron's another example of somebody that made it in without winning a race. As well, the 23 of Ryan Blaney. Hard to believe Blaney didn't win. Same for Chris Buescher. But Ryan Blaney started the playoffs very strong as well last episode in Chicago. As we continue now into the top 10, passing the 24 of William Byron. So, I mean, like I said, you can get into the top 10 way quicker at Talladega than you can at Daytona, which in Daytona, it's just a slow, patient waiting game there. As I can see on the outside there, this is my teammate of Connor Zilish in the Exalta 88 going backwards now. Zilish as well, top 10 run last episode in Chicago, putting himself into a pretty good position here coming into Talladega. Now as we jump up to the outside behind the 45 of Chastain, he kind of covers me off saying absolutely not, as you got Kyle Larson up here in the mix as well, Christopher Bell, William Byron all up here in the top 10 as we come to the halfway point of stage 1, and we might actually see some green flag pit stops in this opening stage here, so that's going to make things pretty interesting. Green flag pit stops at super speedways usually lead to a caution because the slow cars come back on the track, and then cars that pitted like a lap earlier coming around at full speed, and then they hit a slow car, spinning them around. And speaking of green flag pit stops, here we go. Here comes Justin Haley. We're going to run an additional lap. So only a few cars pit that lap, I think 3 or 4. So we're going to wait one more lap, which we've moved up to P2 already, behind Bell, who's clearly pitting, running right on that apron, as we'll exit turn number 4. He veers up the racetrack, comes down. We and many others, the majority of the field, is going to pit right here, but a contact with the 24. Larson and many others stay out on the racetrack. Now my teammate of Zilish is going to follow me, the 12 of Zane Smith as well. Bubba Wallace all coming in for 4 tires and feel. As you can see, this Next Level Racing team get the right sides on, get the left sides on. It's going to be a 15-1, and we are going to actually win the race out of the pit lane here of our group. So that worked out pretty well for us, as now the 20 of Christopher Bell is going to hopefully get to my back bumper and really start pushing me as we head down into turn number 1. Here we go. Here he comes in that Yahoo purple Toyota Camry now for Joe Gibbs Racing, and he is going to just shove us and hopefully stay planted on our bumper. There's a lot of separation in our group here now. Some drivers just not the pit stops they needed, as the 43 of Noah Gregson still on the racetrack, and Nick Sanchez sideways overcorrects head on into the outside wall. Caution's gonna come out. Bowman's gonna get a piece of it, and same for the 60 of Barry as well. And Noah Gregson leads, and Kyle Larson and others were in the pits, so we're gonna be P10, maybe P9, because Gregson, I don't know if he was in the pit lane at the time of the caution, as we will in fact move up to the 9th position. So, with the timing of that caution, staying out 1 extra lap and pitting was the right call. Unfortunately, I didn't know that. Obviously, no one really knew that was going to be the right call, as we're back underway for green flag racing here, and it's only going to be 4 laps to go in stage number 1. Kyle Larson takes the lead of this race, looking to maybe get a stage win on a super speedway, another playoff point to the number 5. If they can make that happen, they just gained, of course, those 5 playoff points in Chicago with the win, really making their position better going into the next round of 12, where, of course, that's going to be an interesting round in itself. And then the round of 8 is going to be an interesting one, because we do have another super speedway with the Atlanta track, so that's going to really make things interesting as well. And yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen there. That's a track I've struggled to run well at, so I'm trying to accumulate as many playoff points as I can now before we get to that round of 8, because I feel like Atlanta is a race that could put us in a danger zone going into the elimination race going towards the final 4. So definitely going to have to keep our guard up, to say the least, now as Taylor Gray jumps down to the inside, then jumps back up to the middle. I had to actually check up right there with 3 laps to go in stage 1. Kyle Larson continues to lead now, as we've got help from the 24 of William Byron. He wants to push me because he's motivated motivated to gain as many points as he can, as they all check up behind us. They're 3 wide, and everyone just really destroyed each other's momentum, and they should get back up to us, but the organization is going to be pretty destroyed as we approach 2 to go in stage 1, passing the 98 of Briscoe right to the back again of the 55 of Gray as we come to 2 to go now, and Kyle Larson still leads, and he's going to win the stage because the caution comes out, and it's a tire down on Ty Gibbs. Yellow out for the 54. Fortunately, if you're a Ty Gibbs fan, his race is not over. He's still in the race. Kyle Larson wins stage 1. That's an additional playoff point to the number 5 team. As you see the rest of the finishing order, some playoff drivers further down the order. Blaney, Caruth, as well as we would get ready after tires and fuel in the pit lane. We move up to row 2, P4 behind Chase Purdy as Kyle Larson leads us into stage number 2. Don't expect Kyle Larson to win this race. Of course, Super Speedway one of his worst types of racetracks now is actually, look at this, Larson is going to get forced 3 wide into the middle by Taylor Gray, who caught him off guard. To the lead goes Tricon Garage 55, as now we are going to settle in behind the 5 of Larson. Of course, if you were on any lane that wasn't the bottom right there with that kind of move, it absolutely destroys your momentum. And now here we are finding ourselves down into the 10th position. Absolutely not what we needed right there to have happen as we continue down the back straightaway. How about Ty Gibbs, who just blew a tire? He's right here. He's already back up into the conversation because, of course, the repairs that they made didn't really put them too far back now as we exit turn number 4 to the right rear quarter panel of Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Gibbs, honestly, could be a threat to make it into the Final 4 this season. Of course, we look at the trajectory of that 54 team, wins the championship in Season 4, or Season 3, I mean, and then Season 4, he comes up 1 point short to making the Final 4 against his teammate of Christopher Bell, who went on to win the championship. And then, of course, Season 5, Gibbs completely misses the playoffs. What a downfall, to say the least, now as we continue behind this number 2 of Todd Gilliland and waiting to see what playoff driver find some speed in the playoffs. There's always a playoff driver that is kind of just hiding in the regular season that shows up come playoff time and they go on a run and they have a chance to make the Final 4. Of course, in Season 4, it was the champion of Christopher Bell. Season 5, it was Carson Hocevar, who nearly made the Final 4, but of course lost out. But he went on an absolute tear, won some races, was super close to making the Final 4. And as well this season, who is it going to be? I really don't know as we continue on and down this front straightaway. And I mean, we're still caught up on the outside lanes. Can't get down to the inside. There's Gio Ruggiero. And the number 15 there now is Larson's 4 wide with Bell. These guys can't get things sorted out now. 3 playoff guys, 4 playoff guys for 4 wide. There goes Jesse Love through on the inside, and that mobile 181 is Kyle Larson starting to drop down the order, and we've dropped down into the mid-teens, down in P16 after following that number 5 into turn number 1. Carson Hocevar actually up my inside in the Brant colors this weekend now. Chandler Smith, pole winner, right here in the middle between the 17 and the 54 of Busher and Gibbs now as we continue to try and work our way back forward and just looking for an opportunity to get down to the inside because it's been 6 laps and I still haven't gotten down to the bottom yet, and we come to lap 7, same situation, just waiting for a proper gap to open up between some cars now as you got Zillish and Love here on the outside lane now as we continue in the middle down into turn number 3, just playing that waiting game right now. Fortunately, of course, I'm not really feeling an urgency or anything because I know our point situation is really good, and I also feel really good about going into New Hampshire. I feel like that's a race we can win on just raw pace. New Hampshire is always a track that really treats us well, so I think we're going to have a really strong race. We could go into New Hampshire 15 points below the cut line and I would still be confident that we're going to be able to move on, but of course there's no way we're going to enter New Hampshire below the cut line with how our race is going so far as we continue looking for opportunities. You can see I'm moving around trying to find something, but I mean still the inside lane is just occupied as we're to the right side of Joey Logano. A decent start to the playoffs in Chicago, of course got that win in Denver that put him in the playoffs, but here he is in Talladega not having a great run. He does still enter this race below the cut line, as we now actually have a chance to get down to the bottom, cutting off the 23 of Ryan Blaney. So now we can settle into P17 and hope we can start to move forward, as we're already approaching green flag pit stops now. So we got 4 laps of field, so we're probably going to see in the next lap or so some drivers start to peel off the racetrack and pit as we come through to now 9 laps to go in stage number 2. Zane Smith actually out in front in his Penske Ford Mustang, the Money Lion colors on that number 12 this weekend, as we're back into the top 10. A big shot to the back of the Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang of Joey Logano now, as I would not be surprised if we see some drivers pit this lap here at the end of lap 12 now, as we get right to the back of the 22 again, lay off that bumper a little bit now into turn 3. Chase Elliott's up here in the conversation as well, needing some stage points. Looks like the leader of Zane Smith is going to pit. Elliott as well, Logano as well. We're going to pit with them, so let's come in and get this pit stop here. I don't want to pit with a big group of cars, and there's only a smaller group, a medium-sized group pitting here, so I feel like it's going to be better than pitting with the majority. So we're going to come in again, tires and feel, 4 tires and feel, that is, and we'll get out hopefully in front of these guys, but I think we're not going to win the race out of the pit lane this time, as the left sides go on. Another 15-1, and the 9, the 22, 94, 12, 29 is all going to beat us out. I think we actually lost ground this time around, as now we need to rely on the 2 of Todd Gilliland to really get on my bumper and start pushing me forward here. And here he comes, as you see, into turn number 1. He's going to lay right on that back bumper now, and some separation again. You got 4 cars up there together, led by what looks like the 9 of Chase Elliott, and they are all separated and they're fighting each other, as I've got help from the 2 as we come to the end of lap 13. We are running down Ryan Preece. We're still on the lead lap. Kyle Larson's coming up in the background as well. Didn't realize he pitted with us, as we got cars exiting. Watch out, this could get sketchy. This is the scenario where we see crashes, and there it is. Around goes the 32 of Corey Day. Crash, caution. We're down in P20, and again, a caution is going to absolutely plummet us down the order in the, of course, green flag pit cycle. And Noah Gregson again is out in front and benefits from it, and my AI decides it's a great idea to run into a car under caution, and that just ruined us for the next restart. The 12 is who turned the 32 into turn 1. Caution comes out. We're going to have to pay attention to the 12 on this restart as well. We'll get ready to go back racing for another short shoot here in stage 2. It's going to be 3 laps to go. I can't go, and neither can the 12 of Zane Smith. We're both slow in the outside lane, but hold on. We get a better launch, and me pulling out of the way is going to help me. We're actually going to gain ground. So we're going to go past the 12 Money Lion Ford Mustang, and now we'll clear the 12 of Zane Smith. But look at this mess. Of course, AI, they don't get out of the way when something like that happens. And now look at this. We've got the main pack. You've got me, who's the bridge between the main pack and the, of course, furthest back pack. And now Ryan Preece and others are going to try and run us down, coming to 2 to go. Or sorry, that's Bubba Wallace. And he would get on my back bumper and start pushing me. William Byron is back here with 2 to go. He's not going to score stage points, and with Bubba Wallace's help, we have run down this main pack by the time we come through to the final lap of stage 2. Chase Purdy leads the way as we start the final lap in the stage now, and Bubba Wallace is still on my back bumper and pushing me past the 11 of Corey Heim. There's Larson 3 wide in the middle between Cindric and Logano now, as I'm just looking for any opportunity to go forward now, as we need some help. We don't have any help this time. Here comes Bubba again. Hopefully he'll get to my back bumper now down this back straightaway for the final time in stage number 2. It's Trackhouse Racing's Chase Purdy leading the way into turn number 3. He's had this field covered off on this restart, and it's all single file up front. Things look pretty good for the Trackhouse Honda as we exit turn number 4 right to the back of the 32 of Corey Day, who just got wrecked. He knows he's got a Hendrick Motorsports ride for next season in the number 25, replacing Elliott as we come through the tri-oval, and it's going to be Chase Purdy taking stage number 2 over Brent Cruz. Ryan Preece scoring some much needed stage points as well in 4th. That is going to make things interesting for his playoff scenario. Blaney, Elliott, Bell, Zilish, and host of our playoff drivers as well scoring points. So a lot of playoff presence, and that's really important for a guy like Hocevar, who's the last one in currently, and Elliott as well, as we'll all pit again for tires and feel and get ready to go green for the 3rd and final stage. We gain 1 spot, unfortunately, and that puts us onto the outside line. It has been one heck of a race so far here from Talladega, and now we take on the 3rd and final stage, which is underway. It's going to be a little over 20 laps of racing to go, as we've got ourselves in the 18th position, and yeah, pretty confident we can still find a way up to the front again and fight for a win, but this has not been a traditional Talladega race for me where we kind of get up front and we take control. No, we've had these green flag pit stops really mix things up today and kind of, you know, throw a bit of a just chaos kind of spin on both of the stage finishes. So it's gonna be interesting to see if we get the same outcome here in the third and final stages. I was hoping to clear Tyler Reddick, but his teammate of Chandler Smith decides to check up, so I cannot jump down to the inside quite yet. And look at the separation between me and the next car ahead of Christopher Bell as Joey Logano is pulled all the way up to the outside, saying, you know what, I'm just going to go to the back because that's the thing I need to do to score points is go backwards. So as we now come to the end of lap 45, completing this opening lap here of stage number 3, there's Connor Zilish doing the same thing there on that number 88 Exalta Click Lane Cadillac now into turn number 1. Busher up my inside. We know he needs some serious points. Did not score any in stage 2. He needs to really look at a top 5 result here today from Talladega if he wants to give himself any hope going into New Hampshire now, as we're right to the back of the 94, previous Talladega winner from last season, Parker Retzlaff, and I really screwed myself right there, and that allows the 17 and the 5 and the 45 all to go up my inside here. I got a little bit too impatient, and we pay the price having to check up now, as here comes the 2 generator Ford Mustang of Todd Gilliland to push us now, and we'll settle back in here behind the 45 of Chastain. There you got Tyler Reddick with 20 laps to go. Chase Elliott currently leading this race. So now again, I mean, we're down to 28th. We're looking for an opportunity to get back into the inside and then once again just start moving our way forward and slowly but methodically, you know, figure things out here and get ourselves into a good position. Unfortunately, I would get back down to the inside as Elliott continues to lead here on lap 49, but as well, I mean, we're all the way back here in the midfield, so I'm not really just looking to follow the inside. I'm looking for anywhere I can go that's going to gain me some time. So you see us making some moves, and we do pass the 12 on the outside, and now we jump back down to the inside, and it's working out pretty well here. So we're going to pass the 5 of Kyle Larson. We're back into the top 22, top 20, as well as the caution's actually going to come out, and it's a tire down on Ross Chastain. Cautions out, and we've got a very split strategy here. Elliott and Priest will pit from the front, and about 5 cars in front of us would end up pitting for tires and fuel, and everybody else is going to stay on the racetrack because I'm expecting another caution to come out. So right now, I can confirm Chase Elliott, Ryan Priest, and everybody that just pitted, they have exactly enough fuel to make it to the end. You can go about 14 laps maximum on fuel. Well, we got 14 laps to go. So they can make it, but I just don't think that's going to be the right call because I think we're going to see another yellow. Then again, we've only got 7 laps of fuel, so I don't really know how this is going to work out. Maybe we've made a mistake, like 90% of the rest of the field, but only time will tell. I mean, we are very much in a position to be aggressive on pit strategy. Of course, we have nothing to really worry about in this second race of the playoffs now, as we continue to the back of the 32, jumping up to the outside here with the big run we have now as we're to the back of the 31 of Brent Cruz. Did not actually want to hit him because it creates a draft partner, but now we force him 4 wide through the middle as we cross the line. Now 13 laps to go from Talladega, as we have had one heck of a start to the playoffs. This has been exciting so far, as the 12 of Zane Smith now trying to link up with my rear bumper as we roll through 1 and 2. Here he comes. Now he's going to get right to my back bumper, and we'll have the draft from the 21 of Austin Cindric, but eventually everything kind of gets bobbled up here. We're 4 wide racing, 3 wide racing. I'm to the back of my teammate of Connor Zilish and the number 88 following him through the middle lane now, as here comes the 20 of Christopher Bell looking to my left rear as we continue to find ourselves right in the middle of this pack again, knowing green flag pit stops are not going to be that far away for all of us that stayed out under that last caution. We might even see some drivers come in this lap or next lap. It looks like someone's trying to peel off. I can't quite tell who that is, but someone is definitely pitting, and it's going to be, I believe that's the 98. It's Briscoe, and the 34 of Eric Jones as well comes into the pits. I would eventually get down to the inside behind Gibbs and just in front of the 12 of Zane Smith here now, as we're right to the back bumper of the 54, and the reason I jumped down so aggressively right there is I knew I had to pit really soon, so I was getting myself in position. But obviously we've done 2 green flag pit stops today. What has hurt us pitting early, staying out as long as possible, and hoping that you're in the pits when a caution comes out seems to be the strategy today. So we are going to stay out. We're going to stretch this, and we're going to watch a lot of drivers pit right here, but Bell is going to stay out. Gibbs is going to stay out as well. So that works out pretty well, and we would follow Gibbs, who would eventually pass Bell, who left the door wide open, and we're going to stay out again. We're going to run one more lap here. So Gibbs is going to stay out, Bell is going to stay out, I'll stay out, Gregson comes in, and now us three are kind of just committed to staying on the racetrack now as we enter turn 1, slower traffic caution. Oh, man. And if we pitted right there, as the 31 loses a tire, if we pitted that lap right there instead of going one more, we would have been in the pits when the caution came out. We could have stayed out and we would have been up front. And now we have to make our pit stop, take 2 tires, take a can of fuel, and unfortunately that puts us down to 33rd position. Unfortunate, to say the least, but it is what it is, and that I'm not the only one that got hurt in that. Is it's going to be 5 laps of racing to go from Talladega. Look at the playoff names back here. Outside of Larson, who doesn't have to worry, you got Logano, you got the 48 of Carruth, the 81 of Love, the 9 of Elliott. The urgency is high for these guys. Ryan Preece right in front of me. He's, of course, the 3rd to last driver below the cut line. So these guys have a sense of urgency. They have to go now, and Rajah Carruth has gone backwards immediately as we're going to follow this 29. There's Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is not as big of a concern because he's got more of a point buffer compared to the drivers like Elliott and Logano, who's already below the cut line. Logano needs to go forward the most, and so does the 29 of Ryan Preece, but Jesse Love, he's not safe. Neither is the 48 of Rajah Carruth. Now as we're going to follow this 9 of Chase Elliott through 3 and 4, and this is really going to be an interesting finish to see how things play out here as we continue on through the tri-oval, now passing Alex Bowman, following Chase Elliott through across the stripe with 3 laps to go in this race. Austin Hill currently leads. He's won here at Talladega once before. Could he do it again today? Carson Hocevar, who is, well, the last driver above the cut line, is up front right now, running P2 to the 3 of Austin Hill, as we've got some 3 wide, 4 wide racing as well. The urgency is picking up, you can tell, as we approach 2 laps to go. Now Elliott, we're going to go to the inside of the Napa Auto Parts number 9, and Carson Hocevar still up there in P2 behind the 3 of Austin Hill. Could he maybe win this race here with a last lap or 2 to go move to get himself to the lead? Now as we approach 2 to go, lap 65, I'm up the inside. We've gotten into the top 15 there as we pass the 00. Carson Hocevar is up there in the mix with Austin Hill, but still the 3 continues to lead into turn number 3 as we wait to see what it looks like up there. And Hocevar is on the inside of the 3. Carson Hocevar to the lead as Bell is all the way up against the outside wall here as we'll pass him, and we might even get back into the top 10. Speaking of top 10, there's Chris Buescher as we head down in towards the tri-oval. White flag is waving. Do we make it back to the white? The answer is it looks like to be yes. No caution. We stay green. 1 lap to go from Talladega now as we head into turn number 1. We're not going to be fighting for a win, but we're fighting for a top 10 as well, and we've got a new battle for the lead. Hocevar's left the door open for the part-time MBM number 66, Gray Golding, to the lead of this race down the back straightaway. What a story that would be if he wins, as we're to the inside of Gray down the back straightaway for the top 10 position. Briscoe, Gregson, Buescher going forward. Buescher needs points. We said he needed a top 5 if he wants any chance going into New Hampshire. He might pull exactly that off as we exit turn 4 down the front straightaway. Hocevar looking for a chance to pass the 66, but he's got no help. It's all the 66 part-time MBM 66 of Gray Golding through the tri-oval will win in Talladega. Unbelievable as we cross the line for a top 10 finish in P8. Buescher gets the top 5. Is it enough? He did not score any stage points, if I remember correctly. That could be a difference maker as well, as you see some playoff names down the order. Christopher Bell, Gibbs, Zilish, Byron, Blaney, Elliott in 33rd, Preece, and Rajah Carruth as well. Rajah Carruth, I think, is going to be below the cut line as we'll take a look at the playoff update, and there you have it. Rajah Carruth will enter New Hampshire 3 points behind his teammate Chase Elliott, and then Chris Buescher cuts the gap to just 4 points after entering over 20 points below. Byron 10 points back, and Preece 24 back. we have 2 Hendrick cars on the verge of elimination going into the round of 16 eliminator, and they have to both beat their teammate of Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and Logano. Not safe either. Same for Jesse Love. Raddick at 20 points above the cut line. Not safe either. Ryan Blaney a little bit more comfortable, and everyone above that in a pretty comfortable position. Hocevar, who was the last one in coming into this race, now exits 28 points above the cut line. What a race for him, as that's going to wrap it up for me. Next episode, we take on the elimination race at New Hampshire. Thank you guys for watching, and have yourselves a great day.